Welcome to Women in B2B Marketing, a show where CMOs, VPs of marketing, and all strong women leaders in B2B discuss their top tactics, strategies, and tips for building high-performing teams, leveraging trends, and ultimately rocking their marketing careers. Made by and for women, insightful for all. I'm your host and 15-year B2B marketer, Jane Sarah. Let's dive in. Okay, hi everybody. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Women in B2B Marketing. And today we have with us, I'm going to butcher her name, but she's being very gracious and letting me do so. And I'll have her say it again afterwards, but Laura Erdem.
You did it perfectly.
Yay, I'm trying. I think pronunciation matters so much, so you can repeat it later. But she is the sales leader of Americas at Dream Data. And switch for today. As you can see from her title, she is on the sales side of things. So we are going to dive into a ton of data, B2B data, and how sales and marketing can work together from the sales perspective. So Laura, I'm so excited to have you today and jump into this.
Thank you so much, Jane. Yes, my name is Laura Erdem, and I am a sales leader for an Americas team, still located in Denmark, but working with the other side of the world. And yeah, matching that marketing and sales world. Let's talk about that. I'm very excited to be added to a podcast for B2B marketers and being like the salesperson in the room. That's fun. Yeah, more and more I start to feel that I'm slowly getting into B2B marketing, and we can cover more of that as well.
We're converting you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what's happening there? So B2B sales, first of all, I got into tech from my whole career-wise. First, I got into tech, knew nothing about tech, educated sociologist. And when I got into tech by accident, there's a next accident happening when you get into sales. So I thought that I was very good at my job in tech. I was doing a lot of coordination. I was doing like graduate programs and fun stuff at a big enterprise. And I was thinking, okay, I think I could be good at sales because it seems to be fun. But I was so good at my job over there. There was like, nobody was like saying, oh, just go and try it out and be a junior. So I switched jobs. I got hired by Red Hat into a very junior sales role because I wanted to try it out. And very quickly, I proceeded into the AE role, senior AE, and so on, all that sales stuff. Then being hired by Gartner to work with the big enterprises. And now I'm here in a startup world where the world is totally different of sales as well. But I'm working at Dream Data right now, being hired as the first salesperson at a startup. And as a first salesperson, as a startup, you're so much involved what's happening with clients as well. So it's also dragging me into the marketing side of the world. It's like, what's our product market fit? What's our positioning? How are we presenting to our clients and so on? So it's the whole new world of everything marketing as well.
Exactly. And one thing that caught my eye to have you on the show in the first place is, well, first, sales and marketing has kind of come under this joint umbrella of revenue lately, which I kind of love because they need to work so hand in hand, especially in B2B. But second, you shared a post. I want to say I might butcher the stats, so keep me honest here. There's 31 touches before a deal closes in B2B and at least 3 channels. Was that correct?
That's correct.
So where did this data come from and what should we do with it?
Yeah. So Dream Data is a revenue attribution platform, and it's kind of easier for us to grasp that data. And when we talk about 31 touches, what we mean is not just the sales touches or like first touch marketing and then sales, meeting call, and then we close it. But then imagine what happens all over the place when you're trying to close a deal with a B2B client. Like a first person is reading a blog, a second person is filling out a form, a fourth person is checking the reviews on G2, and a fifth person is finally signing off the deal after meeting sales so many times. So you already have 4 people involved. So those 31 touches suddenly don't feel as a lot because they're touching the website, you're seeing their ads, they're interacting with you on LinkedIn. Like it's all over the place. And buyers don't want to speak with sales. Sorry for myself. They don't want to speak with me either. That's why we need to find channels where we should be. So people want to meet you or at least learn from you before even they have that demand for product X. So that statistic comes from anonymous data from our clients, B2B SaaS companies mostly. So the customer journey of those is usually over 200 days. So within 200 days, those 31 touches is very little as well.
Yeah, 200 days. I mean, I was shocked to see 31. I know things take longer now. This past couple of years, or especially year, there's just more people involved and deals are drawn out, the economy, people are less likely to spend. But 200 days is even more dramatic of a number, or sad for sales and marketing.
I would say it's a positive thing for marketing to know that number as well.
Yes.
Because like you mentioned, sales and marketing collaboration. So one thing that I recently saw, we have been invited to a conference and they show the statistics of who's coming to the conference. It's like, okay, C-levels, 40% revenue, 30% marketing, the rest CEOs. And why do you write revenue and then marketing? Which, like, how do you even define revenue and why is this a split? It should never be a split in the first place. And I think the reason for that back in the days was because we knew exactly what was happening in sales. You could like read all the predictive revenue books and like you need the X amount of meetings, X amount of emails to close a deal. But marketers were operating in the dark for so long time where you actually don't know what is happening. Oh, brand is important. Yeah, but how important? And what should we do for us to help sales to close those deals? Or what should we do so sales don't complain and get the right deals into their pipeline from marketing? So knowing that it takes a long time and what types of touches does it take for us in marketing to deliver to sales, or even after when sales are involved, what does marketing need to do in between to fill out those 31 touches with quality? Because sales is not quality anymore. If we count it as quantity, it's shit. Marketing delivers the quality, the perspective, the point of view of the company that sales takes over and then runs with that quality.
So to identify quality, because I agree, I think that's come up so much more in the podcast over the past couple of months is quality over quantity, which thank God we're finally there. But what data points should we be looking at to identify that quality?
So first of all, we need to understand, how do clients find us? When do they identify you? Did they find you on LinkedIn? Did they find you on a specific article? Where do they actually come from? And there's a lot of chatter about, oh, ask your clients, where did they find you? Where have they heard about you from? And so on. This is perfect, really, really nice. But then I would say, Jane, what did you have for lunch last Tuesday? And Jane says, I was not hungry last Tuesday, but I don't know what the lunch was. But then if I say, Jane, what is the most memorable lunch last month for you? And then you would say, oh, yeah, I had it with my mother-in-law and we were sitting at the beachfront and we were doing this. So you will remember that. But you were not hungry all of those days either, which means that you probably had lunches all over. That's your content. And you will remember one thing. Cool. I've heard about you on Jane's podcast. Very good. Podcasts are working. But how about the rest? So what fills your stomach up during that time? So we have to make sure to figure that data out. Where is it coming from? Before form submissions, during the sales process, once we map that out, then we will know what is it we need to focus on, because it differs depending on the buyer. If you're selling to developers compared to you're selling to marketers, they find you different places.
So true. So I'm going to not really play devil's advocate, but I'm going to ask you something controversial.
Go ahead.
Because I keep seeing things lately pop up about the death of attribution. There's always the death of XYZ in marketing, right? Like SEO, content, like agencies, it always changes, right? Whatever it is. But I hear this a lot because I think people have such fatigue over trying to figure out where everything comes from and figuring out this journey. I think that's kind of why this self-reported attribution thing came in, because it was like, back to being easy and just giving an open form field. Just let us know, and that's what we'll go by. But I'm curious, how should we be leveraging attribution? And what are your thoughts on it? And all of this, all the naysayers lately of don't even bother with that. Let's focus back on brand, and that'll bring everybody in.
Yeah. I love that movement, like something is dead all the time. I love that.
Always.
Remember, half a year ago, Google Analytics was dead. It's still there. Yes. It's like something is dead all the time.
It's horrible now with GA4, but it's there.
It's not dead, and it's not going to be dead either. So it's the same with attribution. What I think the controversy is, how do you use the data of attribution? I'll go back to how to make sure to like map it all out. But the key thing is that if we use attribution to judge, is marketing doing its job correctly? And we set it up with the last touch attribution, it will fail every single time. Because last touch attribution will always, most of the times, tell you direct, or will tell you website, or will tell you something really funky. And then you show it to your C-level and they would say, Jane, it's like, then what are you doing every day? It's like, well, I do brand, I do this beautiful stuff. It's like, okay, how much budget do you need? I need the same as last year. And then why? Because it seems to be working. Where? Scale that. I'm like, okay, I don't know. So the most important thing for attribution is setting up proper tracking on the website. And proper tracking on the website doesn't have to be done with an attribution solution. It can be done with customer data platforms. Product teams have been using those for ages. So if you team up with your product team and start using the same tool they're using for tracking, you would say, oh, I've got GA, I'm good. GA forgets what happens after and what happened before if your customer journey takes 200 days. So own your tracking. Once you own your tracking, you can either hire several really, really smart people to start building something for you to figure out how are those touches getting together, or give it over to an attribution tool to ingest it, figure the customer journey out, and spit it out to you so you can see which of the touches on the website combined with your CRM are happening when in the journeys. And then you can start to build trends on top of that. Then when you go to your C-level and they say, so how are clients hearing about us? Oh, they hear about us on podcasts. Cool. Let's scale that. It's like, which one? Then you're able also to show the data from everything else. I paid $10,000 for LinkedIn last month, or maybe last quarter. And this quarter, we're seeing these opportunities becoming SQLs from LinkedIn. Is this good enough? Is cost of acquisition enough for us? Should we be paying Google for ads, I don't know, $50,000 a quarter, and then getting better quality deals? You'll be able to figure out what is the price you're ready to pay for each and every deal, each and every MQL, SQL, new business, and where in the journey does it make sense to retarget or to just do display?
Wow. So what have you seen with your customers, your clients that have brought on Dream Data, that before and after kind of scenarios, right? Because they're using Google Analytics or last touch attribution. And then, so everything's kind of a blur or kind of a little bit of a guessing game, right? Or you see trends. Trends are sort of easier to identify than specific numbers. So have you seen, by switching to focusing on the whole journey of attribution, that more gaps are filled in, or there's more insight on specific channels?
Yeah. So there's a controversy as well, like why companies buy Dream Data and what do they see of results? Because everybody comes over to us, like more or less each and every client, prospect who comes in and says, I want to see customer journey. I say, okay, that's very cool. But if once you see that customer journey, what kind of different results will you be expecting? What will you do with that data? That's what's important. And we see that customer journey. And finally, when they're clients for a couple of months, they say, yeah, customer journey is nice, but actually we're saving 50% on Google ads. And this is the coolest thing ever. So by seeing the customer journey, you start to understand Where are your clients actually seeing the good quality of your content out there? Or you're grasping them in specific spaces like G2 or LinkedIn or somewhere else. And then you know that webinar we're running, it's only top of funnel and they never convert, or they convert like into new business 2 years after. So you would know where to put your marketing dollars for which part of the funnel and how much are you going to pay for each and every lead. The biggest savings that clients are seeing are usually on paid ads. Google, huge savings. LinkedIn, huge savings. But it's not just that you're coming there to save. Your management doesn't care really how much you're spending on marketing if you're delivering more and more results. Like if you know that LinkedIn ads work, please, the ones that work, scale them 10 times and give me 10 times more leads. If you're able to do that, then you'll get like insane amounts of budgets to go further and run with it.
Agreed. Well, with the insight and you working closely with your clients and even at Dream Data yourself, maybe you know this, what channels seem to be working best right now? Since you're saying that they tend to save in paid ads, that's telling me that paid ads are working less efficiently than perceived at first. So are there other channels that are working more efficiently, or is it just budget shifting within the paid ads?
This is the very fast, like aha moment. And you say to your manager, I bought this tool. I saved 30% on cost of acquisition of all of our MQLs from these 3 channels that you're using. Paid ads are inefficient if you don't know where you put your money. If you only optimize them to top of funnel, then you will be losing a lot because you will not actually see if those are becoming SQLs or are they becoming sales qualified leads fast enough as well for you to close. It could be that you're okay to pay $1,000 for an MQL as long as it becomes a $100,000 lead and it closes 2 years after. It's fine. But if you don't know that, then it's a very expensive lead to waste as well. So this is the first place. But we also get a lot of prospects who are very heavy on content. We pay nothing for paid ads or very, very little. We don't care. We're a niche. Nobody finds us there. We need to go to content. And they start to figure out what type of content helps their clients buy within the various stages of their pipeline as well. Because it's nice to write a good content piece that resonates with your buyer, but also to know where in the customer journey it resonates. And that's where sales and marketing collaboration comes in as well. I know exactly which content to send to my prospects while they are assessing us in a given stage of the sales process. They're testing us or they need to speak to the C-level about something. I know what helps for them to buy. And marketing knows what type of content they need to write more so we're better found on SEO, or what they should never be writing off, even though they're thinking, oh, this is a cool project. Let's write more about this. It's like, nobody reads this. Or if they do, they never convert.
So it's identifying, it's focusing more on what's converting, not in the top of funnel, not tofu, but more at the bottom of the funnel and what's driving revenue at the end of the day and tying attribution back to that.
Exactly. As I'm teasing sometimes, a marketer cannot claim a revenue marketer's title unless they measured on the bottom funnel. Like if you're just bringing leads, you're not a revenue marketer.
Yeah, good point. This reminds me a little bit of, I had an episode with Lachey who is focusing on BOFU content, and very, very similar. Like her goal is to drive revenue at the end of the day with the content, not traffic that doesn't convert, right? You want both. Even if the traffic is less, if it's converting, that's what you want to double down on and focus on. Exactly. So it sounds very, very similar.
Yeah.
And what have you found from these data points, at least even yourself with you and your marketing team? How have you identified data points and collaborated together based on those and changed something you were doing as a result of looking at this data?
Yeah. So Dream Data is a young startup. We have been operating for 4 years. When I joined 3 years ago, we had very little content. So we needed to figure out what do we need to write more of so our buyers can find us and so on. So the first thing that we always collaborated on is If I, as a salesperson, get a question on the call that I'm not able to answer, I have to ship that information directly to marketing so they can write a content piece about it to help buyers buy. That is both to help me to be able to send the same piece of content to many more prospects, so I don't have to repeat that on calls all the time, but also for if they had that question on the call, they very likely had that before the call. So they were able to educate themselves before going there. So this is the first collaboration point. The second part, and it's huge, during the time at Dream Data, we figured out that LinkedIn is the place we want to be. Everybody finds us there. We sell to marketers. It's easy. This is a cheap audience to do. And controversially, it's not measured by attribution at all. It's like all the content pieces you're talking about. Well, I cannot tell that you have read them only because you told me that you do. But we see that with a compound effect because prospects are coming over to us and saying, oh, I've seen your content on LinkedIn. It's really cool. I follow Laura, I follow Stefan or something else. Then when we started to do it, like we didn't see significant results, but when we started to do it as a whole revenue team, sales and marketing, we started to see that a lot of prospects are coming in from organic social. That means they are seeing our content, going into our company page on LinkedIn and clicking that button, like read more or visit our website and stuff. And then it lands to our website with a UTM, which says that, well, this number is growing, means that people are finding us there for a reason. So we started to collaborate. How do we write content? How much freedom does sales have? We have a lot of freedom. With like marketing says nothing. They only grasp
the joy of a startup, right?
Exactly. They are only grasping the ideas that are actually working. So, oh, this one was really cool. Let's make it as a piece of content as well because everybody loved this. Or we created those benchmarks that you're talking about. Everybody sharing it around, and we see that how much those are resonating. But it only resonates because it's not only marketing pushing them out as emails or company LinkedIn posts, which are always boring, but it's also sales amplifying the message that is kind of a little bit more funky, sometimes a little bit crazy or over the line, whatever it is, but it's out there. The eyeballs are seeing them all over the place.
Yeah. Do you think that's been a big part of the success too, is sales and marketing, the whole revenue team being out there and active on LinkedIn?
Yeah, big time. Very big time. So LinkedIn is the most kind of actively used platform by sales at Dream Data. Usually it is also. Like marketing uses it just like a little message send out to some of the listeners that follow your page. But so sales is on LinkedIn all the time. But if sales are creating content that marketing is pushing as well, and at the same time prospecting on LinkedIn, then that amplifies the message so much more. So marketing can also follow what's actually helping our prospects to buy, and that we don't have to push the boring stuff down their throat. And it's like, oh, look at us, we're attribution. This is so much fun. Or this is like, we solve a problem of something like the boring messages that you know. So it's kind of that's where the collaboration gets into two pieces, because we work as a team, but at the same time, we do work in a separate ways.
Does this organic LinkedIn get tracked by attribution platforms like Dream Data? Or is this one of those pieces that's just, you see it's an outlier of the system and you know it just fuels everything?
We're trying to figure out how we can do that more. So far, there are not that many tools in the market that can legally, without scraping LinkedIn and without a partnership with LinkedIn, is able to deliver the information back that somebody was reading your post or somebody was liking them and so on. So as long as there are no tools that are able to do that organically, and as soon as there is one, then we want to hear about them because we want to build an API for that. Then we will be able to see the exact attribution of it. But right now, it's a correlation of a lot of things happening. So we continue being active. We continuously see organic social growing from LinkedIn side on Dream Data. And we see it dropping at the times when it's holiday or when people are posting less and so on. So we see the correlation, but we don't see the exact touches of the customer journey. That's what I'm saying. I think it's more than 31, but
yeah,
we track 31, which is already a
yeah.
lot.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's interesting. So the 31 doesn't even take into account the organic social touches.
Nope.
Wow. So yeah, it's probably like 50 plus touches before a deal closes.
Exactly. Now we began to be able to show customer journey pieces on LinkedIn's sponsored ads. So if you sponsor an ad, somebody watches it or scrolls past by it and watches it for a couple of minutes, we're able to put it into a customer journey for that specific client. So the touches become more, but we are not able to tie the person. Or I posted something, somebody followed it, they clicked like, and then they downloaded a piece of content on our website. It's not connected just yet in that way.
Yeah, got it. Is there any trends from across all of your customers or clients aggregated? Have you not spotted any trends of any channels or tactics that are just not working anymore?
I'm trying to think right now what's not working. So yeah, quality. Again, we're going back to quality. So quantity is not working anymore. Sales blasting outbound mail. So I get a list and now I'm just going to blast a sequence of some emails and like, the more the merrier. No, quality is very important. And that's the only thing that people react to. We don't even do outbound at Dream Data where you just do quantity blasts because you're just going to blast off the perception of your brand on the market. Oh, this is the company who spams, or this is the company who cold calls and I never want to pick up their calls because they're just shoveling things over my throat. But what works is getting the clients to find you places where they actually are reading the information or where they're finding it. It's a technical reader you're onto. Maybe you want to be involved more in the Reddit threads where they are there and reading stuff about, I don't know, stuff they're interested in, and they suddenly find that technical piece of content that you shared. Mm-hmm. Or if it's a marketer, then it's probably on LinkedIn, or a lot of people are moving over to using some other more creative tools and places where they find it. So like quality over quantity, creativity works a lot. And again, like going back to quality, a lot of people started saying, oh, you have to post a lot of more videos on LinkedIn. And comparing to half a year ago, you see a lot of more videos, but a lot of shit videos as well.
Yes,
and now quality has to go up as well, because quantity doesn't work anymore. It doesn't matter if you're on video, if it's a shit video and no subtitles and it takes you half a minute to start talking about the topic you actually want to talk.
Mm-hmm. That's so true. I see ever since everybody started getting big on personal brand and posting more on LinkedIn, and there's that whole recommendation, I'm not sure where it originated, of posting every day for consistency. But ever since that became popular, my feed is flooded with crap. It's just people who aren't really saying the same thing, or they're using AI and it's just clear they don't really have a strong point of view. There's also gold, right? Golden nuggets from people who post, but I just don't think everybody has to post every day. Post when you have something real to say that brings value to your audience, and that will help all of us and clean up our feed.
Precisely. And there is a balance in this as well. Because if you as a marketer want to enable your sales team to start posting, at least a quarter of their post is going to be shit.
True.
And for you to be able to enable them to do that, they have to figure out what's good, what's bad. Because if we only speak about you have to post when you have something to say, I probably have nothing to say most of the time. but sometimes
I feel like that I'm doubtful of that.
No, but whenever I then feel inspired and post it off, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but then it's out there and it's up to the audience to tell me if it's good or bad. That's why the algorithm of LinkedIn is built like that. If somebody thought that your post was worth reading more and dwelling a little bit more time, then it's exposed to even more people because it possibly was valuable. If I posted bad ideas for a quarter, then maybe LinkedIn just slowly is telling me you have to do something different. And then I will. Starting is important too.
Interesting. Okay, I want to dive into a little bit of your personal journey too. So twofold. One, I'd love to hear your growth on LinkedIn. I think you're at 20 something thousand followers. So kudos. That's amazing. And then I'd also love to talk about, again, your perspective working with marketing throughout your career and just any ups and downs that you've had that would be helpful for our audience of B2B marketers to know.
Yeah. So LinkedIn story, my story is equal Dream Data's LinkedIn growth story as well. Because I was active on LinkedIn back when I was working at Gartner or Red Hat, where you share like, oh, this is a Gartner Magic Quadrant, nobody cares. And then I joined Dream Data, and we suddenly figured out there was a post that I made has become semi-viral, like, I don't know, 40,000 views back then. It was cool.
Huge.
And the only reason why it happened was because Chris Walker wrote something very negative on it. And then his like network picked it up, which is fine. But
the Chris Walker effect.
Yeah, exactly. But back then it also helped us to figure out, okay, because of that post, we were able to see much more traffic on our website. I think it was like 3 times more than a normal day. And then double up in MQLs that week. It was like, something is working. Let's try that out. And then we started to do it more consistently as a team. And people started to find their voice and their pace, what works for them. Some people in the team started to do some fun stuff that they find it like matches their energy to, like, I don't know, tease salespeople and say that marketers are better than sales and so on. That works every time. And and I'm not funny. Then I share more like insights that I get inspired of. For example, I love April Dunford, so I can like post stuff that she thinks is cool, and then marketers do resonate with that, like how to do, I don't know, pieces from content that I read, and a little bit of the personal stories and so on. And it picked up. It slowly picked up, that personal brand, within now 1.5 years. So I grew from 3,000 followers to, I think I'm now at 22 or 23,000 followers. And for marketing, it is free marketing. So imagine how many times our CMO comes over and says, Laura, we need to talk. So we're doing this product release. How can we do this? How can we use your network and so on? So I can tell you now what not to do, okay? This is the mistake that we did. Back then, I was at around 10,000 followers. Our CMO comes back and says, Laura, so how can we convert 10% of what you have? Because they're all marketers. I'm like, they're all buyers. I don't know. It's like, they're following my content. I am not here to convert them. I'm here to be the salesperson that they know can have a nice conversation with once they're ready to buy. No. It's like, we're low on leads. Let's do this. So, okay. So I can create a video and explain to the people what we do and what are the ICPs. And if they would like to book a meeting, they will get X. Yeah, good idea. Do that. Okay, so I created the video, and I think it reached like 12,000 people, which is nice, pretty nice reach of the post. And a video, back then it didn't play so much.
Yeah.
Do you want to guess, out of those 12,000 people, how many of them converted? Should we say 10?
Like 2.
0. Zero.
Wow.
None. So it's like, what not to do? Don't do that.
Yeah.
But what I did after that, then I created a video a couple of days later. It's like, how did I fail? So look, I did this. Their marketers helped me out to understand what did I do wrong, and people were just going crazy telling me, oh,
wow,
this,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Crowdsourcing feedback, like, why didn't this work? I love that. What did people say? What were some takeaways?
Like, don't push them to convert, first of all. And like, don't expect this and blah, 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 blah. I mean, out of those conversations, then like I was able to convert some of those into opportunities.
The irony.
Exactly. It's like, don't go directly for the kill. This is like the first thing in B2B marketing. Nothing is built over one day. And if you expect your people to come in from Google, convert, and a month after to be closed into closed sales, no, not going to happen. It's like, it takes time for people, and marketers are so spoiled in content. Nobody wants to be sold to in marketing. It's like,
right. I was just going to say that that's probably the new number one rule for B2B marketing and sales, is that you can't make anything feel salesy because there's such an aversion to being sold to. It's like, oh, this is a sales pitch. Nope, X out. Or you see the little hashtag ad or sponsored, you're like,
Exactly. Even like people are asking, are the sponsored posts, personal posts working? It depends on what you measure.
Yeah.
They're not working to convert anybody at all, but they're working to get more eyeballs on the topic, even though you, Jane, you didn't like that there was a sponsored message, because you see it. You see everything that is an ad. Oh, this looks like an ad. This looks like sponsored. Everything.
Yeah.
But you have seen the brand name. The next time you've seen somebody posting about it, the next time you've seen it mentioned in the community, and then you say, oh, wait, Dream Data. I remember Laura speaking about something. Okay. Yeah. So now we're preparing to buy something and let's ask her for suggestions. Like, yeah, the job is done, but it takes time.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that with us. That's a really good takeaway of what to do, what not to do as you're building your personal brand, marketing or sales alike. And then on the flip side, so I'm curious, I'd love to dive in more and soak up more of the sales perspective, right? Like what can marketing be doing better in the B2B world to better work with sales and drive more revenue at the end of the day together?
Yeah. First thing that we do, which is very, very important, marketing is at one sales meeting per week. So we have a marketing representative sitting on the sales meetings. If it is a pipeline meeting or it is like the enterprise deals reviews or something like that, where you can listen in and figure out what is actually happening while they're selling. Because the marketer's world is like, it's nicely pink. Because like I'm creating this beautiful brand and everybody should be loving it because it's so perfectly created. We use so long time to build this messaging. It's like, it's perfect. And then the salespeople sitting there with the pitch that they probably also have recreated for their own usage because they started to talk with the clients and it's different. So the next thing is listening to the sales calls after the pipelines reviews or at least deal reviews. Listen to some of the sales calls. Get the habit of asking sales to feedback the good and interesting calls they have had with prospects or bad calls with prospects that they can listen into and understand what's working, what's not. Yeah. We are rebuilding our pitch deck, for example, and we'll listen a lot to April Dunford, but at the same time, we're also listening a lot to our calls, what resonated, what didn't. And on that review, marketing is there as well. So that there are no gaps between like the website copy, the pitch deck, what salespeople are saying, and then the prospects, they have to go and explain that to their leadership. So that story better keeps continuous for at least like 90% of the times.
Yeah, I love that. That was something that works for me at my last position too. We had definitely a weekly connect between sales and marketing, but we had a monthly, I forget what we called it, kind of like a mastermind of sales and marketing, just going through, okay, what didn't work this month? What did work? What messaging is resonating? What questions are coming up that are different than usual? Just to get that on the ground, live, timely feedback so we could incorporate that into our messaging as well. And because we're not hearing all of that, or if we're listening to sales calls, it's later on. So I agree. It's super helpful for just sales and marketing to collaborate. You have to actually talk on a regular basis and have that cadence.
And kind of care as well. Because you asked about like what didn't work. So before when I was at enterprises, marketing was like the roll-ups department. It's like, okay, we're going to this event. Is the booth ready? Yeah. How many roll-ups do I need to take with me? This. And then you back and say, okay, so where's the list of the prospects? Here it is. Okay, good. Thank you.
Yes.
We're done. No.
I can see that. Yeah. Marketing, you know what? It almost becomes like we're administrative sometimes at some companies, right? Where it's like the events team and the logistics of purchasing things. And like you go through us for that rather than the strategy and thinking of marketing and revenue as a revenue driver, not spender.
Exactly. That's
So interesting. Well, Lara, I'm curious if you have, it'd be good to get a sales perspective here. If you have any on the top of your mind, any podcasts you listen to or books that you're reading right now that you recommend for B2B marketers to absorb.
Yeah. So right now, like cannot wait to the new April Dunford's book. She's releasing a new one, and it is about how to build a sales pitch deck. A marketer writing a book of how to write a sales pitch deck. Like everybody should read it in marketing and sales. So, and her first book on positioning is also very, very good.
I need to check this out. I haven't. Her name sounds familiar, but I'm not a super fan yet, but I think I will be after this. So
yeah, she's really, really amazing. And she has both a podcast and a book and like a lot of stuff. Her appearances on stages always entertains as well.
Awesome. I love to hear that. A woman in marketing just taking the stage and owning it and building this presence. I will check her out. I'm curious what other, obviously your own, and besides your own, what tools are your favorite at the moment from sales or marketing perspective?
Yeah. Well, LinkedIn. It's
number one.
Depends on where your buyers are. These are the tools that you should be using and being there in those communities at least. Yeah. So for me, LinkedIn, then the CRM is like both love and hate relationship forever. You need it, but it's always bad. So like you better create the processes around it so it helps you sell and follow up the clients' buying pace as well, to understand all the data as well. Because even with, like you're mentioning, like your own tool, well, Dream Data wouldn't work well if the CRM is not well maintained either. So this is where everything starts. For you to be able to have proper attribution, yes, tracking, nice, CRM, perfect. Now we can work together.
Yeah. Perfect. I mean, everything comes down to clean data, right? As clean as you can get it. There's always an asterisk next to it. No CRM's perfect, like you said.
Exactly. So. But the final tool that is my forever favorite is any call recording system. We use Gong, but a lot of others can do the similar job. But like to have the summaries done for you when you need to go back and say, oh, wait, what did they say? And how do I sound as them? Listen again and figure that out as well. That's also a very, very big one.
Huge, especially when they can pull takeaways from the call and key themes. Marketing for sure should also be using a tool like Gong to identify these trends and sentiment and key terms and competitors. It's just gold.
Precisely.
Well, as a sign off, do you have any one final tip for B2B marketers? I have a feeling I know what it'll be around.
It's mostly like proper tracking, and then you'll be able to show your work to whoever you need to show it to. It's like marketers are very good at trusting their gut, and they know, like, I feel that this is working. I feel like I need to double down on that, but you'll need to go back and defend the budget that you're asking for it, and defending it by the gut feeling will work sometimes. But defending it by data and the gut feeling on top of that will take you really far away.
The magic combination. That's so true. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Laura. I so appreciate your perspective and everything you've shared with us today.
Thank you, Jane, for the invitation.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for listening. I hope you loved the episode and found value in hearing from the sales perspective and somebody so deep into B2B marketing in our world. So thanks, everyone. If you liked it, like the show, share the show, rate the show, review the show. We like all the love. So thank you so much. And I'll see you all next time.